بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our discussion about shukr, and as you remember, we reached page 180 of volume 7 of Al-Mahjjah al-Baydaa, and here Ghazali and Mullah Muhsin Faiz al-Kashani want to mention 4 types of hearts. Remember, our discussion was about different types of ladha. We said there is al-ladha al-aqliya, intellectual pleasure that you find it only in human beings, and that is ladha coming from knowledge and wisdom, something only for human beings. Of course, this includes knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we said there is a pleasure that we share with some animals, and that is hubbur ra'asa, the pleasure that you get from having high position. And the lazza, which is shared with all, lazzat which are shared with all animals, like lazzatul akli wa shurb wal eating, drinking, sexual pleasure, and things like this. So we talked about it. The very last thing that we said was sometimes people may be very high in their spirituality. Their heart is very, empowered and spiritual. So maybe they don't have any attraction. They don't see any attraction, in eating or drinking, whatever. But this can go down. It's not necessarily fixed. So now, this is where we reached. He says, وَإِنْدَهَا تَنْقَسِمُ الْقُلُوبِ إِلَىٰ عند هذا تنقسم القلوب إلى 4 أقسام. Here we can say hearts are divided into 4 groups. قلب لا يحب إلا الله. There are hearts that they don't love except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have said this in other places, that in our rise with respect to loving Allah, first is to start loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among other things. But maybe you love other things more, but you have some love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what Allah is warning, that if your father, your mother, your children, your houses, your business is more lovable to you than Allah, أَحَبَّ إِلَيْكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ, is more lovable, فَتَرَبَّصُوا, then you have to wait for some tragedy to happen. You know the ayah in Surah Tawbah, مَسَاكِنُ تَرْضَوْنَهَا تِجَارَةً تَخْشَوْنَ كَسَادَهَا. So that's for the people that they love Allah, but they love other things more than Allah. So whenever they have to choose between God and other things, they choose other things. But if they don't need to choose, okay, they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If religion doesn't cost them, they are very religious people. But if it costs them, then no. But then Higher than this is that your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than other things. So, if you have to choose, you will choose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, you love your children, but you don't let this love for children affect negatively your faith. You don't do anything haram because you want to make your children happy, for example. You love your money, but you don't let this make you, someone who is not obedient when you have to spend money. But another level, which is the highest level, is that it's not just you love Allah more. You only love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we said before, that Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Dua Arafah is, the part which is attributed to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. إلهي أنت الذي أزلت الأغيار عن قلوب أحبائك حتى لم يحبوا سواك. You are the one that removed others from the heart of your awliya. Sometimes people translate friends, but awliya is more than friends. You removed other things from their heart حتى لم يحبوا سواك. They don't love anything other than you. Of course, under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they love other things. And this is the concept of al-hubbu fillah wal-bughdu fillah. So you love Allah, then everything else you love for the sake of God. So it's not that you love Allah more. No, you cannot compare because they all come under your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have discussed this in some other lectures about love for God, love for sake of God. So if you are interested, they're available and I can give you, inshallah, reference later. So, قَلْبٌ لَا يُحَبُّ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. This is the highest position in this ladder of love, that only loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you say, what about people, what about their children, family, mu'mineen, other things? You say, yes, they love them, but for the sake of God. Their love for other things originates from their love for God. وَلَا يَسْتَرِيحُ إِلَّا إِلَيْهِ. And would not find its comfort except in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Would not find its comfort except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Normally we use comfort maybe for body. So, this room is comfortable, this sofa is comfortable, yeah, temperature is comfortable. But the main comfort is the comfort of the spirit. When you are with a very good friend, someone that really understands you, your heart feels very comfortable. Yes? Very, very comfortable. But above everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best comforter. And if we get the experience of finding comfort with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then other things would not be comfortable enough. It's like, for example, if you have a comfortable chair, but then you use a sofa which is very comfortable, then to use again that chair is not comfortable. Yes, because you have found something more, you have experience of something more. Yeah? There are people who are very comfortable, for example, with their car. But then sometimes they drive a much better car, then they are no longer comfortable. Yes, so it's good that in dunya you don't try other things temporarily, because you cannot have them permanently and you would not enjoy what you have anymore. Okay? Now, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you find comfort with Him, then you don't find comfort in anything else. This is what Imam Zainul Abidin said in another way. Who is the one who has ever tasted the sweetness of your love, then has looked for something else? If you experience sweetness of the love of Allah, other things don't look that much sweet. You find there is a little sweetness, but with maybe bitterness or sourness. It's not very sweet. So this is first type of heart. لا يستريح إلا إليه وإلى زيادة المعرفة به والفكر فيه. And the comfort is with Allah and knowing more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinking more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you want to be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not physical connection. It's through ma'rifah, through contemplation, which is a great type of zikr. Because fikr is a great type of zikr. So, this is the first group. Second group. The second group is opposite to the first. So, we are not talking in order. So, for the sake of comparison, we use, maximum contrast. قلب لا يدري ما لذة المعرفة. There is another type of heart that does not understand what is the pleasure of ma'rifah. How do you translate ma'rifah? You can say understanding, knowledge, but here you can say acquaintance. Because as we have been saying maybe before also, I think I said here, ma'rifah is personal understanding, personal acquaintance. So there are hearts that they don't know what is the pleasure of ma'rifah, acquaintance with Allah. وَمَا مَعْنَى الْأُنْسِ بِاللَّهِ. Ons is again to be acquainted with someone and to find comfort in something. وَإِنَّمَا لَذَّتُهُ بِالْجَاهِ وَالرِّئَاسَةِ وَالْمَالِ وَسَائِرِ الشَّهَوَاتِ الْبَدَنِيَّةِ. But his pleasure is only in jah position, in social position. Ra'asa, like being boss or leader. Al-mal, money. Wasairu shahawat al-banadiyya, other types of physical pleasure. Because hubbul ra'asa, hubbul jah is not available in all, but it is still badani, it's physical. But other types which are shared with all animals, like drinking, eating, this type of thing. وَقَلْبٌ, the third type. So, between these two sides of the spectrum, then you would have hearts which are in between. Yeah. So either is 100% with Allah or 0% with Allah. In between, then would be mixed. Again, it can be more leaning towards this side or towards that side. Yes. وَقَلْبٌ, the third type. أَغْلَبُ أَحْوَالِهِ الْأُنْسُ بِاللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ. Most of his conditions, it means in most of the time, he is acquainted with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, enjoying being with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالتَّلَذُّذ بِمَعْرِفَتِهِ وَالْفِكْرِ فِيهِ, and enjoys knowing him and thinking about him. ولكن قد يعتريه في بعض الأحوال الرجوع إلى أوصاف البشرية. But sometimes it happens to this heart. يعتري means it happens to it, that goes back to normal human conditions. As if to be 100% with Allah is like being an angel. Human being is mixed. Nutfatan amshaj. Yeah? It's aql and shahwa mixed. So, this third group, most of the time they are all right, but sometimes they go back. Yeah? It happens. Sometimes you are in a very good condition for a few days, again something happens, you become low in your spirituality. وَقَلْبٌ, and the fourth one, أَغْلَبُ أَحْوَالِهِ التَّلَذُّذُ بِالصِّفَاتِ الْبَشَرِيَّةِ. The fourth is that most of the time enjoys human, characteristics like, re'asa, mal, jah, ak, this type of things. وَيَعْتَرِيهِ فِي بَعْضِ الْأَحْوَالِ. But in some circumstances, it happens that it enjoys and gets the pleasure of ilm and ma'rifah. تَلَذُّذٌ بِالْعِلْمِ وَالْمَعْرِفَةِ. Maybe you say there can be a fifth type. Because if you want to divide, there can be a fifth type. What is the fifth type? Pardon? Yes, to be 50-50. But this is not something that's happening in reality, because it's very, very difficult to imagine that someone is exactly 50-50. Yeah? Either towards this side or towards this side. It's very, very difficult to say this person is, if you divide, it's for example, his time, 50% of time, not little less, not little more, is like this, and 50% is like that. This very rarely happens. So therefore, he talks about four conditions. Ammal awwal, the one which is 100% with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَإِنْ كَانَ مُمْكِنًا فِي الْوُجُودِ, although it is possible, but فَهُوَ فِي غَايَةِ الْبُعْدِ, but it's very unlikely, or it's better to say it's very difficult to have it. It's very rare. It's possible. And we believe those who are ma'soom, those who are mukhlas, they are like this. So you don't say it's impossible, but it's not very common. Yeah, it's not very common. أما الثاني فالدنيا طافحة به. The second, which was only has experience of other types of pleasure, like hubbul jah, hubbul ra'asa, or hubbul akl. He says the world is filled with them. There are many, many of them. But I don't think actually these are filling the world. He seems here a little bit pessimistic. And then he says the other two are very rare. So he says the first is almost impossible. Almost. The second has filled the world, and the other two, third and fourth, are very rare. Okay? أما الثالث والرابع فموجودان ولكن على غاية الندور They are very rare. Nodra and Nudur means very rare. But I don't think it's like this. I don't think most of people in the world, we can say, they are totally empty from love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even at his time, maybe his time was better than our time. Because now there is more pressure and more attraction towards dunya, you know. It seems that majority of people are in between. Majority of people are the people who have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, they are not 100% towards God and intellectual pleasure, and not 100%, na'udhu billah, like animals. I don't think these are majority of people. Majority of people are in between. They are experiencing sometimes this, sometimes that. Maybe in some people this is more, maybe in some people that side is more, but normally average is more available. 100% or 0% is rare. So I unfortunately cannot agree with this. But the concept is clear. Yeah, the concept is clear that you can have 4 types of hearts. ولا يتصور أن يكون ذلك إلا نادرا شاذا وهو مع الندور يتفاوت في القلة والكثرة وإنما تكون كثرته في الأعصار القريبة من أعصار الأنبياء. In different ages, the percentage can change. But when we go closer to the time of the prophets, then you would find that there is more percentage of the people who have experience of intellectual pleasure, pleasure of ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فلا يزال يزداد العهد طولا ويزداد مثل هذه القلوب قلة. When time passes, this type of hearts become less. The hearts that have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the major overwhelming thing in their heart. إلى أن تقرب الساعة, till we approach the day of judgment, this percentage goes down. وَيَقْضِيَ اللَّهُ أَمْرًا كَانَ مَفْعُولًا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bring what is decided. Because he has a kind of Ghazali, albatta, not Mullah Mohsen. Ghazali has a kind of, Ash'ari approach. So, the language is more language of a person who believes that everything is pre-decided. Yes, in Aqaid, if you remember, I said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fixed plan for humanity, that in the end of the time, certain things must happen. But if you remember, we said in Aqaid, in first year, how that works? We said, although he has fixed plan, but still he would not take away freedom. He would wait and wait till people freely implement that plan. Yeah. So he has plan. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَقَدْ كَتَبْنَا فِي الزَّبُورِ مِنْ بَعْدِ الذِّكْرِ أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ يَرِثُهَا عِبَادِيَ الصَّالِحُونَ. He has plan. This is going to happen, but not by force. He encourages people and he waits. This generation, another generation, now, after 1,000 years, 1 million years, he's patient. So he's not forcing his plan. So it's not something like you say, it was already decided that it has to happen, but by taking away the freedom of people. Even if you remember, we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has so much of control and so much of knowledge and power that He can plan things in the way that you freely act as He wants. You remember? We mentioned the story of Fir'aun and Musa. Yes. And these days something similar is happening. That how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He has planned some enemies of Allah, they think they are very clever, but with their own hand they destroy themselves. It's not He forces them. No, He actually warns them. But they become part of the. So we said this is the meaning of makaru wa makar Allah wallahu khairul makir. We said this is not just some people make plans and Allah makes another plan and His plan is stronger, defeats that plan. We said no, this is not enough. Those who were not in the aqaid might be new for them. We said makaru wa makar Allah can mean they make a plan and Allah makes a bigger plan and takes them and their plan inside His own plan. So the more they do, the closer becomes implementation of Allah's plan. Okay, so that is our understanding. So we don't believe in jabr. We don't believe that things are out of, human freedom. But at the same time, there are issues, not many things, but there are few things that Allah has already decided. One is that end of this world should be universal justice and peace and brotherhood and solidarity. Another thing that Allah has planned, it's a law of the nature, law of the creation, that even in dunya, there is a limit for zulm. If corruption of a person or group exceeds certain amount, in this world they will be defeated. This is a fixed plan. Not by taking away their freedom. No, by them doing things to destroy themselves. They would destroy. يُخْرِبُونَ بُيُوتَهُمْ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَيْدِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Okay. Yes.
Ask a question. During the Prophet's time, I think there were less people for the pleasure of Allah, because when he asked Imam Ali, if 72 people come to give you bayat, you accept it. But there were lakhs of people and they were all against Imam Ali. So there were very few
after the Prophet.
In the Prophet's time. Even in the Prophet's time. All the munafiqs.
In the Prophet, there were munafiqin, but not many. Not majority. But, like we said, there were people who were all right, but it was not fixed. They went back. We said sometimes there are people who are in a very good condition, but this is not permanent. So there were people in the time of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that they really had changed. They really had changed. They were not munafiq. They didn't pretend. They really changed, but they didn't permanently change. There's a difference between real change and permanent change. And this is something very worrying. We may be now really different from people who are after dunya, but this is not necessarily permanent. So don't think this is going to remain. This is not guaranteed. So you can be right now. And you can be, after a few days or a few years, worse. So this is something that causes maximum concern. Okay. وَإِنَّمَا وَجَبَ أَنْ يَكُونَ هَذَا نَادِرًا. Why this type of being most of the time enjoying intellectual pleasure? Why it is rare? because this is something that gives you kingdom, gives you power in akhirah. And in the same way that in dunya we don't have many kings, in akhirah also we don't have many top people. Many kings in akhirah. Because to be king is rare. To be top is rare. So he says, لأنه مبادئ ملك الآخرة والملك عزيز. This is one of the things that would lead to kingdom and rulership in akhirah, and rulership is aziz. Aziz doesn't mean dear. Aziz means rare. Yeah? Azizul wujud sometimes means rare. وَالْمُلُوكِ لَا يَكْثُرُونَ. Kings are not many. فَكَمَا لَا يَكُونُ الْفَائِقُ فِي الْمُلْكِ وَالْجَمَالِ إِلَّا نَادِرًا وَأَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ مِنْ دُونِهِمْ فَكَذَا فِي مُلْكِ الْآخِرَةِ. In the same way that in dunya, those who are very high in power or very high in beauty are not majority. Yeah? People who are, for example, very, very beautiful are not majority. People who are very, very, for example, intelligent are not majority. In akhirah also, people who are very, very high because of their intellectual progress in dunya, he says they are not many. Majority maybe are average, around average. Of course, he tends to say majority are low, but I say majority are average. فَإِنَّ الدُّنْيَا مِرْآةُ الْآخِرَةِ. Dunya is a mirror for akhirah. So there are many things that you can understand. This is the way I interpret it. Dunya is mirror of akhirah. Means there are many things that you can understand about akhirah by considering dunya. How in dunya top people in power or beauty are not majority. In akhirah is the same. So from one of them you understand the other, or especially from akhirah you can understand dunya. فَإِنَّ الدُّنْيَا مِرْآةُ الْآخِرَةِ. Dunya is mirror for the hereafter. فَإِنَّهَا عِبَارَةٌ عَنْ عَالَمِ الشَّهَادَةِ وَالْآخِرَةُ عِبَارَةٌ عَنْ عَالَمِ الْغَيْبِ. Dunya is the world of shahada. Shahada opposite to ghaib. Shahada is something which is seen and visible. Akhirah is ghaib, unseen. Okay? So, dunya is easily understood by everyone. Akhirah is ghaib. It's not easily understood by us now. Yes, لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم. But right now is ghaib. So, if you want to understand something about akhirah, you can take lessons from dunya. Of course, if you know akhirah, you know dunya very well, but it's difficult to master the other one first. وَعَالَمُ الشَّهَادَةِ تَابِعٌ لِعَالَمِ الْغَيْبِ. The world of shahada, things which are seen, comes after alamul ghaib, comes after in rank, but we are more familiar with this one. Yeah, although alamul ghaib is more important, but we are more familiar with alamul shahada. We know about dunya more than we know about akhirah. كما أن الصورة في المرآة تابعة لصورة الناظر في المرآة. You know, if you have a mirror showing, for example, a person or a flower, what you see on mirror is not the real person or real flower. The real one, you can only get an idea about it through this image on mirror. So although this image is much lower, it's just reflection. Yeah, that's not a real person, real flower. But this is what you understand first. Yeah, in a sense, this is shuhud. That flower or person is ghaib. In a sense. So dunya is like this. We see dunya, but if we go deeper, we see akhirah. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. So dunya is the surface, like what you see on mirror. Akhirah is inner, it's hidden. So he explains this, and for few lines, he talks about this concept of mir'at and surah and shuhud and ghaib. So our time unfortunately is over. Just to summarize what we said. So in order to understand why people have different experiences about ladha, he explained that we have to study hearts, because it's not by chance or accident that people have different types of ladha. If they have different types of ladha, it's because they have different type of qalb. Okay? Because ladha and alam, pleasure and pain, are something that belong to heart. There are 4 types of heart. One is the heart which is purely and merely only enjoying acquaintance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 100%. Another heart is 100% only enjoying bodily, physical, animal pleasure. And then there are 2 other types of heart that either they have more of the first or more of the second. He says to be 100% intellectual and only enjoying knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and acquaintance with Him is possible, but very, very unlikely to happen, as if it's not there. But we said it is possible, and actually there are, yes, not many, but we have Anbiya, we have Awliya, we have Imams, maybe even some of the Mu'mineen who are Mukhlas. He says the majority of people who have no experience, and we said this is not right. Those who have no experience at all, I think, are not many. It seems the majority are the people who are in between, but yes, maybe the majority most of the time are not, experiencing the divine and spiritual pleasure. Maybe most of the time they're not, but these are the majority. Okay, inshallah, we continue. Not next week, the week after, because next week we have Arba'in, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Imam Hussein is saying that I have had more ashab than the Prophet Imam Ali had.
Not even more. I said